special guest with us, Charity Masaudi. She is a real estate broker from eXp Realty and wanted to give her a warm welcome and say hello. Hello, Charity.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, we're doing good. We're excited to be here because really, this is an effort that we're making up as we go along. So we're building the plane while we're flying it. So thank you for being here. Before we
Absolutely.
delve into the mastermind principle, I'd love to know more about you. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you get where you are today?
Sure. Yeah, I've been a real estate agent full time for about 3 years, and have sold about 100 homes in the past 3 years. Prior to real estate, I worked in software and the entertainment industry, and so I've always had a passion for real estate. My dad was a general contractor, my brothers are general contractors, and so I actually got my license to be an investor. Was not intending to help other people buy and sell real estate, but once I got my license and kind of learned more about it, I realized I could have my own business, which I'd always wanted to do. I had always run other people's businesses, and now I could have my own. So it led me on this huge journey of entrepreneurship and all the lessons that I had to learn, that I thought I had learned before, but entrepreneurship really pulls it out of you. And so, the first year that I was trying to learn this business was really, really tough. I was in several different brokerages trying to learn, and it wasn't very straightforward, which was frustrating for me, who was kind of like a teacher. And so until I finally met a great mentor who really took me under her wing, and I was able to really come out of the gate swinging because of the information that I got from her. And so my passion became helping brand new real estate agents who probably are just as confused. I know for sure are just as confused as I was. And so in because of that, I built a team and I mentored hundreds of agents and I've trained hundreds of agents. And I've recently built a new agent boot camp that basically teaches you everything that you never learned in real estate school, which is pretty much everything. Because real estate school
Wow.
only teaches you how to stay out of real estate jail. It doesn't really teach you how to be a successful business owner, entrepreneur. And so that's what I'm focused on now is doing my own real estate business as well as helping other people build theirs.
Wow, that's really inspiring. So the recap on all that is you essentially came into the real estate business with some background. You had background in construction, you had background in project management, you had background in entrepreneurship, and you went into real estate and you kind of went in blindly, but you had some tools in your toolbox. Am I correct?
Right,
You
exactly.
found somebody who took you under their wing and you were able to go into the real estate business, and you pretty much, if you're like me, you kind of have that watch it unfold as it unfolds mentality. I kind of sit back and watch things happen as they're happening. I'm like, oh wow, that happened, and then I can write it down and make sense of it. So,
Right.
and from that experience you were able to put together the book, and it's a boot camp. Is it a book as well?
No, not a book yet. I tell people, I joke around. I've basically written a thesis. I should have a PhD in this with how much I've written about this. But there's
Yeah.
pages and pages of pages. I've been working on this boot camp for 2 years, so I've taught
Wow.
it one to one. I've taught it in small groups, and now we're launching it as a big boot camp, a recorded boot camp for people to watch. And then there's more one-on-one attention if people need it after that, after they've watched the boot camp. So.
That's great. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good journey.
Should make a book
So,
about it. You let me, I'll let you know when that happens.
yeah, it'll be a good journey. I know it will. Everything that you've demonstrated in what you've told me demonstrates success. 30 homes a year is pretty impressive for somebody new into the real estate world. So that says enough right by itself. 100 homes in 3 years. Wow,
Almost
that's
100,
really good.
yep.
You've been at the title office a lot.
Yeah, well, we're an attorney state in North Carolina, but yes, I
Oh,
have a favorite closing attorney, and we love seeing them.
that's great. Well, that's good. It's good to see talented individuals like yourself making it out there, making waves. Let's shift gears a little bit. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what brings you to mastermind moments today. The mastermind principle is what we're talking about. What brings you to mastermind moments today?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's super important. Like I was mentioning to you, I obviously had these tools in my toolbox that you mentioned. I mean, I obviously had that background that I still have today,
Yeah.
but what was the trigger that helped me access those and kind of take those skills and put them in the right places in this new career. And if you've been in business, if you've been in sales, you pretty much know that business is business and sales is sales, but you've got to kind of catch on to the lingo and the industry standards. And the only way I was able to really do that, and again, have the success that I've been able to have, is because of the people that I surrounded myself with. And so one of the most important principles that I really learned and have done mostly in real estate, previous to real estate, I was never really in what we call masterminds. But masterminds are very common in real estate. And there's all kinds of masterminds for all kinds of things. But specifically within our group, we have an amazing mastermind of our smaller group of about 1,500 agents. And we talk about everything all day, every day. We have organized specific days and times to meet, talking about certain topics. We also, individually talk to each other. We have a team leader mastermind. We have a mastermind that meets every Monday with a larger, about 3,000 people. And then we have a huge mastermind with probably about 15,000 people. So it's kind of good to mastermind with people at different levels. It's super important that if you want to be successful, you've got to mastermind with people on your same level, but you also need to be in the room with people who are at the next level, because you're never going to achieve where you want to go until you can see what it looks like to be there. And it's really important to be around people who are at that level, who are ready, willing, and able to actually share with you what it takes to be there. And I think that's such a huge, important thing, why I love the brokerage that I'm at and the group that I'm with, because within our brokerage, we have different types of groups, and some groups are more active and some groups are less, but ours is really, really active and all about production and selling houses and running businesses. And so we've been able to learn so much from people who are selling hundreds or thousands of homes, because obviously they're going to have some skills and some systems and processes that we can learn from. And even if you just do 1/10 of what they're doing, right, it's such a great idea, because the beauty of real estate and the downfall of real estate is that there are lots of ways to be successful. So sometimes it's like there's too many ways and you don't know where to start and which one should I do. So having a mastermind to both learn these ideas and concepts and then get the really concrete strategic steps so that you can go and actually take action on those. And then you have your peer-to-peer groups that keep you accountable. All of that is really necessary to be successful as an entrepreneur, especially a solo entrepreneur. When you're kind of doing it all yourself, it doesn't make you don't feel so alone. You feel like you have support.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because you're entering that realm of knowledge, other people's knowledge, so you're able to take away from it. Your mastermind structures are just incredible, and how thankful you must be to be a part of that. Really,
it's incredible. And it's really, I always tell people, it doesn't matter which brokerage that you're with. Really, it does. And I mean, to a small extent, it's more about what is best decision for you financially, like what keeps most money in your pocket. But at the end of the day, it's really the people that you surround yourself with. And wherever those people are is where you want to be. It's not so much if the agency is EXP, ABC, 1, 2, 3. It's where these people are that are, willing to give so freely of their knowledge, which is really hard to find. A lot of people might be living in a scarcity mentality versus an abundance mentality, and they are afraid to share how they receive their success because they look at it as a competition. But I truly believe, and the people around me believe, that my people are for me and your people are for you. And it's not a competition, because my people will never work with anybody else except for me, because they love me. And your people should work with you. And so it's not really a competition. It's all about lifting each other up and what's best for everybody.
Well, there's no fear in your game. You got 30 homes a year under your belt.
You always want to do more, right? You always want to do more.
Yeah, I want to hear next year. Let me ask you a question. Do you think eXp Realty understood the power of the mastermind principle when they set this up?
Oh, 100%. I mean, so eXp is a different type of agency. We don't have physical offices, which was really a weird thing for a lot of people, because in the real estate industry had never really seen that before. Everything was very brick and mortar. And so because of that, we also don't have paid recruiters. So like most brokerages have within their physical offices someone who's paid a salary to go and find new agents and bring them in. And we get to just bring in agents that we like. So if I like somebody and I'm like, I think you and I would work well together, I can work with that person without the traditional, you have to join my team. In a
Yeah.
lot of other traditional brokerages, we wouldn't be able to work together or share information unless we were on a team and you pay me a certain percentage of your commission. Now I don't have to do that. I can just talk to people freely and we all support each other. But again, that all comes from the top, right? I think in any business, the culture comes from the top. And so the way the EXP is set up with, us being able to bring in agents that we enjoy working with, it really incentivizes us to help those people be successful. And so then that's where the creation of these masterminds came from, because if we weren't incentivized to help these people be successful, we would all be focusing on our own businesses.
Yeah.
But because the structure of EXP helps us make sure that the people under us are successful, that's where the ideas for a lot of these masterminds came from. Masterminds have always been around, again, in the industry, but our specific masterminds for our people in our group have come about, and we've been able to connect with people all over the world, not just in our own backyard. And it's really been amazing.
Incredible. That's incredible. So being that you're a cloud-based platform, you've given up a lot of that traditional brick and mortar. So it just really exemplifies the mastermind principle in your specific structure. And I wanted to comment on the underlying principle of the mastermind principle is harmony. And I loved what you said about being able to bring people in that you work with instead of having somebody jammed in your office that you may or may not be compatible with.
Sure. Yes. Yep.
That's a huge thing. Have you had?
I mean, I would say I've never really recruited anybody. I've never said, "Oh my gosh, you have to come to EXP." I'm not. I'm all about attraction and alignment, right? There was one girl that I just love so much from our previous agency that we were in together, and I said, "You have to come because I need you in my life." But it wasn't like about, So, but being able to be energetically aligned, and then because the person who brought me in will be bringing other people, I'm going to align with the people she brings too. I have no financial incentive with those people, but I love them because of, again, the culture comes from the top. And so we all share freely with each other and build this culture. If it was just one person doing it, it wouldn't work. We all have to really be invested and involved and give back as we can. And the cool thing is, because of the tools that I've had in my toolbox, so immediately before real estate, I worked at a software company. We built software from scratch. And my job was to basically bring people in and they would explain their business to me and I would tell them what software could do for them and how we could build things for them. And so immediately when I got into real estate, I started teaching technology for agents because that was my wheelhouse. Wow. And so even before I really knew a lot about real estate, I was able to give back because that was my skill. I had also been in sales for a long time. So I started teaching sales and scripts and organizations and systems and processes, which were not real estate specific, but because I was able to give so freely, I was also able to receive from people who had more specific real estate knowledge. So it was a really good mesh of people bringing in what they're good at, supporting other people in things that they're maybe not so good at. And I think that's a really important principle of a mastermind.
Yeah, that is a definite advantage of the mastermind. One of the things that it triggers is the thought process of artificial intelligence is enhancing the mastermind. And like you said, you get an exchange of an idea. You can do that now with ChatGPT, and it will interact with you in some sense, giving you feedback and recommendations. So we really expect, Charity, a revolution in the way things are done with the advent of artificial intelligence and focused right into the mastermind. I think it's probably the mastermind principle that is the most changed by artificial intelligence because it substitutes a human for that feedback and that interaction. And it's just incredible.
I know. And so I tell these people all the time. So again, remember I worked in software before I came to real estate. And so again, my job was always to take people who had a business idea. Let's say I want to build Facebook, right? And all they have is a business idea. But at the end of the day, I want technology to do this for me. And technology can do many things, but technology can only do what you tell it to do yet. AI is not there yet, okay? But what So a lot of the conversations, like we have masterminds about artificial intelligence, like we talk about it all the time. And it's not that artificial intelligence will replace people, it's humans using artificial intelligence because it just makes us go faster, right? So with ChatGPT, it's a language learning model. So you're going to put something in there and it's going to learn. It's important what you say and what prompts that you give it. And so a lot of the masterminds around what's the best way to get something from ChatGPT, and let's think of creative ways to use ChatGPT or something similar to write listing descriptions, right? And you're going to take that and if you just literally copy and paste, I mean, everybody can tell now that that came from ChatGPT, but at least it is for those of us who are entrepreneurs and, you know, again, we have all skills in different levels. Sometimes sitting there being a creative copywriter is not our skill, but we all have to market ourselves. We have to do sales, and that may not be our best thing. We're better in person. But by learning how to use these tools to supplement where we're not maybe as strong, and that just makes us go faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
And so that's the key, is to understand technology as it evolves. Is how does it help business? Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't help business, then it's just a fun tool, right? Okay, so it's a matter of like, but you know, it's a matter of understanding. I mean, Google's there. You can learn anything from Google, but at the end of the day, we are service providers. Our buyers and sellers could learn anything they wanted to from Google, but they hire us because of the wisdom that we provide in showing these are potential options that you have. And if you go down this path, here are some potential consequences. And if you go down this path, here's some pros and cons on this side. And so our job as humans, which will not be replaced by technology, is to help people talk through those decisions and be there to support them. And when things come up, learn how to communicate with people and keep the project on track and handle emotions and that type of thing. So if we can use a tool like ChatGPT to help us write a listing, you know, description, that's not the important part of our job, right? The important part of our job is human to human, and use tools to automate your business and get things going as fast as possible so you can focus on what's important, what's really needed, that nobody can replace you, which is humans dealing with humans.
Yeah, that is for sure, because I've seen a meme recently that said Chat GPT won't replace humans because humans don't know what they want anyway.
Well, we have a funny one that's going around, and you know, it's a TikTok or something, and it was, this guy was saying, are you worried that AI is going to replace humans? And he's like, oh no, they're going to replace humans 100% for sure. And then give it about 2.5 weeks, and they're going to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Give it back to the humans. Real estate is awful because it does take it's not ones and zeros, like the interaction between people. It's not just data, it's the nuances, and you know, communication being 90% nonverbal, right? It's not just the facts, it's the nuance. And that's what we provide as service providers.
Yeah, that's so true. And you know, you have your own little mastermind because you got a buying team, and that real estate aspect that you cover is part of the team. It's a trusted member of your team, so it certainly is never going to replace that human aspect. So your job is definitely safe. we love learning about the mastermind principle. And one thing I wanted to tell you, I don't know if you knew this, but Napoleon Hill was the first one that actually coined the mastermind principle in his book, The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. So that's the only principle that Napoleon Hill claims to be his addition to any other laws of success that he wrote in this book. He said there really is nothing new out there. It's just a combination of old and new. So that's kind of how I've lived my life, is learning how to put old things together with new things to try to advance myself. So that it's a timeless principle, and it's a timeless work.
Yeah. So Napoleon Hill is definitely, anybody who's into business success, personal development. I mean, the one that most people know about is the Think and Grow Rich, right? That's like one of the first business books that people have you read if you're going on this personal development journey, is, you know, that Think and Grow Rich. And so he is just foundational to almost everything, comes off of that principle, right? And so the mastermind concept, and I don't know that again, it was formalized as a term, by Napoleon Hill in this book. But I do think that, humans have had a form of mastermind to move society forward always. We just didn't really call it that. And there are also other masterminds that are not as formal. Just the collective community, with women, and like with that's what we do. We kind of come together and we share our experiences. And so I think with women sometimes it's a little easier, this concept of sharing, of community and collaboration, because it's what we do, right? And so as women come into business more and are now more into leadership, this mastermind versus this very hierarchical like leadership structure, it's all changing. And so especially when you're at a high level, when you're in a business or leadership position, and you don't really have a lot of peers at your level in your company, you're going to want to talk to people at that same level. So I just think it's such a crucial concept to anyone's business, like regardless of industry.
What is one recommendation for building a mastermind that you would give our audience?
I think one thing to think about when you're building a mastermind is to have a very specific purpose. Like, what is the purpose of this mastermind? And what kinds of things you can be intentional about the people that you let into the mastermind. So to make sure that you don't have an echo chamber where everybody just says the same thing, right? You want to have people with different levels of skills, different backgrounds, who can bring something to the mastermind and feel super involved, because you don't want people there who are just lurking, right? You want people who are going to be actively involved and communicating and bringing their own perspective. And then also just really having a groundwork, if you're creating the mastermind, just to making sure the culture is about helping everybody grow and hearing everybody's voice, and how, understanding how to, have disagreements, because it will happen, how to be respectful of each other. A lot of that is just managing people in general, right? Especially if we're talking about a mastermind of business owners, we're all a bunch of chiefs and too many cooks in the kitchen. All these type A personalities, and everybody has their own ideas, which is fine. At the end of the day, it's your business. Take back what you want or don't want. But, again, if you're intentional and everybody is there because they know why they're there, because this mastermind is about this, you're going to be attracting the right people to come and be and participate in the mastermind.
Yeah. So the definite purpose of the mastermind, the people that you let in, and the framework for how you move forward. That's really good. Shows a lot of experience. Did you know that you exercise the mastermind principle consciously?
No.
Or when did it kind of creep up on you that you're like, oh, this is a mastermind?
So it's funny because, again, I've done a lot of things in my life. So again, previous to real estate was software development. And then previous to that, I ran a nonprofit to fight human trafficking in North Carolina. At the same time, I was also working in the entertainment industry as well. And so the concept of masterminding was not formal. I didn't know this was the word for it, but I've always been in a community of people where to move things forward, it was a community decision, especially in the nonprofit work. Okay. In the nonprofit work, you have all these different stakeholders and nobody's getting paid. And so we had 1,000 volunteers across the whole state. So to manage volunteers, especially, they're not getting paid to be there. So you've got to really understand their motivation, help them feel involved, help make sure everybody feels important, and keep herding the cats in the same direction, even though everybody kind of wants to go different places. So it's really strongly about having that mission and that vision that everybody can buy into, and so that everybody is rowing the boat in the same direction, versus where it goes wrong, where people are this is where things are not cohesive, and then you can't get things done. I'm definitely a girl who likes to get things done. And so I've just learned over time, when you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you go together. And so that's kind of the baseline of what we're talking about with the mastermind, is like, if we're all in this together, we're all learning together, we're all can contribute to each other, it just makes all of our lives better. We can always learn. All of us can always learn, always get better. And everyone who I've ever seen be successful long-term has a learning-based mind. they're always looking for something to learn. They're always plugged in. They're always reading books. They're listening to podcasts. They're always just trying to be better all the time. And that's who you want to be around.
Yeah,
So
you're
this
right.
is the structure of a mastermind means that people who will join that want to be better. And so then you get to be around them. So it's just an amazing concept. Yeah. And I had never really heard the term mastermind so much, until real estate, where it's really, really prevalent. Yeah. But as far as doing the work of a mastermind, I've certainly been involved in those for a long time.
So you've been part of a mastermind and you had a background experience in it because you speak so fluently. You don't even know that you speak so fluently because one of the principles that you've stressed over and over and over without knowing it is the principle of harmony within your mastermind.
Yes.
That is the number one thing. And you were talking about people rowing the same direction. Well, if you got someone rowing against you, that creates a problem, and your
Yes.
mastermind instantly loses its power. So the power of the mastermind isn't just in the communicative aspect and feedback aspect. It's also what is known as a third mind. It's a little ethereal, but it's also known as a third mind. And I guess it's because of that interchange and that interaction that it creates that aha moment. So
Yeah.
ethereal or not, it's certainly a third mind, and in bringing people together in a spirit of harmony, yeah,
Sure.
predicates success for certain. Well, Charity, it has
Even
been amazing. Oh,
I want to add to that if I can, is that when somebody else is teaching something, and I may know what they're saying, I may know the principle, I can still learn, even if it's not the exact thing that they're teaching, I can learn from how they're doing that thing. And it's a bit of like a wax on, wax off situation because we're in there doing it together. And while that process or structure of how they accomplish this particular goal, I've already reached this goal, but I can take that process and structure and apply that. So you're learning about more things than just the thing, right? And then beyond that, you're building this community for referrals and just encouragement from each other. It's amazing what, again, technology can do, because before the internet, how are you going to these masterminds with people from around the world? You'd have to travel. And so the internet is I think this is the age of communication. Like that's where we are. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we're in the information sharing world. It's not about, the information can be found anywhere. So controlling information doesn't work anymore. You can find the information anywhere. Now it's a matter of who can communicate that information and turn it into, and this is what it means for you, right? That's where your skill has to come in. And so, again, wax on, wax off, watching other people be successful, even if it's not in that particular subject that they're talking about that you may have a mastery in, even hearing how they talk, the turn of the phrase, the process or the system that they use, the software that they use for that, but I might be able to use it over here. If you are learning based and you're focused on growing and developing constantly, there's always a benefit. The struggle with the mastermind sometimes is that you can mastermind too much. What I find a lot with new agents in particular is because there's a level of fear of wanting to go, like fear of failure, and sometimes even fear of success. And so I just need to go learn one more thing. I just need to go to this mastermind. I just need to go to this training. And then it never turns into actual action. And that's where the struggle is the balance between learning and growing. And that's always positive. But don't let this FOMO, fear of missing out, of what other people are doing, stop you from focusing on 1, 2, or 3 things that you know will make you be successful. Don't just get pulled in 800 different directions. So there's some wisdom and discernment there of like not over masterminding and take actual action after you learn something new.
absolutely. Such wisdom. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, the water cooler principle is what you're talking about. They gather around the water cooler, and there's safety and comfort in that mastermind. Well, yes, but you gotta turn it into action. So
Sure.
that's definitely wisdom speaking. Charity, it's been amazing. The thoughts on your success and your growth and your inherent knowledge of the mastermind principle, how you've applied it before, during, and even in the real estate industry, and just your knowledge in general has been amazing. So we really I can't thank you enough for being a part. This is our very first episode, and I get little goosebumps and tickled by it. I can't wait to
Take it off
see
in a good way.
what the
No, I
final.
appreciate you inviting. Like even the way that we met was through a different mastermind. So it's so great that you can connect with people who are just in totally different worlds, but somehow there's just that synergy and that connection there. So it's definitely an honor for me. Thank you for inviting me on.
Well, thank you so much. We'll end it here. And if anybody wants to check us out, we're at facebook.com/Hill Masterminds. That's our Facebook group or our Facebook page. And we'll be having a Facebook group at some point. So thank you for your time. And we're signing off now.